Good evening again, America. It is the Sabbath, September the 29th. It is 7:56 p.m. I have two more words. I know you might find them not significant, but they are. The first one is field. Jeremiah 8:10. A field is an open or a cleared land. Used literally of cultivated land in Genesis 47 verse 20, a city in Psalm 78:12 and 78:43. Covetousness. Jeremiah 8:10 is an insatiable desire for worldly gain. Insatiable desire for worldly gain. They're also described as idolatry. It is the root of evil in 1 Timothy 6:9-11, and most people who commit this sin, covetousness, are never satisfied. Habakkuk 2:9, never satisfied. They can never get enough. They could have 50 million bucks in their bank account and still that is never enough. They're out there trying to make more and more money. And people who are covetousness, they tend to want what belongs to another, whether it's another person's wife, another person's husband. They may want their possessions and things like that. That's what that word means. Let's go into our reading for our second reading for today. Let me see if I have any additional words I can toss at you before we start. Shame, we already did that word. Shame instilled by evil doings. Sometimes it can be caused by mistreatment. 2 Samuel 10, verse 4 and 5. I can go ahead on and read that to you. Ammon shames David's servants. The Ammonite and Syrians are defeated. We're about to read 2 Samuel 10. So I might as well just go straight to the reading because that's going to cover verse 4 and verse 5. Because, here we read the entire chapter. Doing less than that will be called false worship. So let's bite into this chapter here. We're going to be reading 2 Samuel chapter 10. It talks about Ammon shames David's servant, and the Ammonites and the Syrians are defeated. This particular chapter has 19 verses. It's not as long as Jeremiah 8. It has no uppercase letterings in it at all. It does have a lot of silver for history. It has black for sin. We do have 2 verses of orange for your faith, and we have 2 verses of green for love. Actually, we have 1 verse of green for love. But the majority of this particular chapter is silver. Let me read to you what silver entails. Silver is for history. I think I might have said that to you earlier. It will include creation, wars, time, places, journey, narration, chronological records of events, vocation, kings, earth, and mankind. Green, I told you that in the earlier teaching, is for love, which includes joy, kindness, mercy, mourning, lament, comfort, compassion, peace, sympathy, humility, and charity. And orange, I think I mentioned orange for your faith, and that would include prayer, miracles, courage, confession, repentance, fasting, healing, hope, confidence, and conviction and belief. Okay. Those are the colors in this particular reading. And we're going to be reading it both from the Rainbow Bible and from the International Bible as well. So let's begin. Verse 1 is silver for history, and it says, "And it came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanan his son reigned in his stead." All right, we're going to go color by color. All right. In the course of time, the king of the Ammonites died, and his son Hanan succeeded him as king. Verse 2 is that one green verse we had. And it says, "Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanan, the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort him by the hands of his servants for his father. And David's servant came unto the land of the children of Ammon." All right, let's read it from here. David thought, "I will show kindness to Hanan, son of Nahash, just as his father showed kindness to me." So David sent a delegation to express his sympathy to Hanan concerning his father. When David's men came to the land of the Ammonites. Verse 3 and 4 is the black for sin. "And the princes of the children of Ammonites said unto Hanan, Dear Lord, thinkest thou that David does honor thy father?" This is what they're saying to him. "Thinkest thou that David does honor thy father, that he has sent comforters unto thee? Has not David rather sent his servants unto thee to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it?" So David was showing kindness and compassion because the young man lost his father. And, everybody has a few idiots around you. You have to be able to kind of point the idiots around you. And idiots will always speak as idiots do. So the idiot said to him, "Thinkest that David does honor your father, that he has sent comforters unto thee? Has not David rather sent his servants unto thee to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it?" So they're planting seeds into the young man's heart. And David was being sincere and sending a comforter unto him. Okay. Verse 4 is also black for sin. "Wherefore Hanan took David's servant and shaved off the one side of their beard and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away." So the young man, listening to the idiots whispering sweet nothings in his ear, he paid attention to what they were saying because he believed that the servants were coming to spy upon his city and to overthrow it. Instead, it was actually a genuine concern and sympathy that David has sent to his servant. Okay, you must pay attention to when people are talking to you, America, because sometimes people will say something to you that is wise and good and makes sense, and other times people will plant bad seeds into your heart, and if you pay attention to these seeds, you may just as well get yourself in trouble. Okay, so mind who you listen to. Because sometimes people will not plant good seeds into you and plant bad seeds. And if you are not wise, you will pay attention to that bad seed and take action when there was no action needed. Honestly, the men were coming to comfort him because he had lost his father. But because of the seed planted in his head, he paid attention to those that were near him, and he took action. He disgraced the servants of David. They came with good intentions. Okay, so not everybody that gives you advice has good intentions unto thee, even today. All right, so let's read that from here. 3 and 4. The Ammonites nobles said to Hanun, their lord, these are the ones that sit next to you when you're a king. Okay, they're supposed to be your friends, your lookouts. All right, sometimes you can have some lookouts that are evil in nature, and whatever they plan will be evil. Whatever advice they give you will be evil. Okay? The Ammonites nobles said unto Hanun, their lord, do you think David is honoring your father by sending men to you to express sympathy? Hasn't David sent them to you to explore the city and spy it out and overthrow it? Listening to this, this is what the young man did. So Hanun seized David's men, shaved off half of each man's beard, cut off their garments in the middle at the buttocks, and sent them away. So can you just imagine the expression on King David's face when the men returned to him? Can you just imagine what he thought? All right, let's continue. Remember I gave you that word shame? That's a good word to remember. Don't shame yourself listening to bad advice. It is always good to listen to your elders, even today. Even though you have some elders today that don't behave like elders, those individuals you ignore. But your true elders will be those that know the Lord, and they will always give you good advice. All right? So let's see how our king responded to seeing his men return in shackles. They returned back looking like hot messes. All right? So verse 5 to verse 10 is all silver for history, and we will see our kings respond to how his servants were treated. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them because the men were greatly ashamed. Okay, you know, in the biblical times, it's not like today. In the biblical times, when men grew their beard, they never cut their beard. Today, you look hard to find a man with a beard, particularly a young man. So, because I'm an elder, whenever I see a young man with a beard, I always compliment them because that is your crown. That is something you should be proud of. You should not be walking around looking like a featherless chicken. And that's what a man looks like when he shaves off his beard. He looks like a chicken with no feathers. All right, back in the biblical time, they were more proud of their beards. Today, they have no honor in their beard. And a beard makes a man look distinguished. All right? When they told this unto David, he sent to meet them. So he went ahead to meet his men because even though someone has told him that this thing has happened to his servant, he probably couldn't believe it. So he went ahead to meet his servants to see what it is that has befallen them. Okay? When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them because the men were greatly ashamed, and the king said, tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return. So he told them to stay in Jericho until their beard had returned. So you can imagine if you had a full beard and then half of it has been completely shaved off, you were greatly ashamed to even stand before the king in such a messed up situation. All right, it's not funny, but that's just what the young king did. 6, and when the children of Ammon saw that they stank before David, the children of Ammon sent and hired the Syrians of Beth Ramhob and the Syrians of Sobah, 20,000 footmen, and of the king Makad 1,000 men, and of Ishtab 12,000 men. 7. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the hosts of the mighty men. 8. And the children of Ammon came out and put the battle in array at the entering of the gates, and the chariots of Zobah and of Rahab and Ishtab and Makad were by themselves in the field. When Joab saw the front of the battle was against him before and behind, he chose of all the choice men of Israel and put them in array against the Syrians. 10. And the rest of the people he delivered into the hand of Abishai his brother, that he might put them in array against the children of Ammon. So they hired all this army of men to go against David. Let's get it from the New International Version. Okay, then David was told about this. I'm going to read 4 again. So Ammon seized David's men, shaved off half of each man's beard, cut off their garments in the middle at the buttocks, and sent them away. 5. When David was told about this, he sent messengers to meet the men, for they were greatly humiliated. The king said, "Stay at Jericho till your beards have grown, and then come back." 6. When the Ammonites realized that they had become a stench in David's nostril, that's right, he was upset because he was being what? Genuine. And he humiliated his servants. So, of course, he had a hair up his nose. Okay? They hired 20,000 Arameans, foot soldiers from Beth-Arab and Sobat, as well as the king of Makad, with 1,000 men, and also 12,000 men from Tob. 7. On hearing this, David sent Joab out with the entire army of fighting men. And you know, David always had a healthy supply of army men. Always. Even when he was hiding from Saul. He wasn't up that mountain by himself. He was up that mountain with 600 men. 600. When he went down to meet Nabal, he took 200 of his men and left 400 up in the mountain. He always had a healthy supply of men among his army, even before he became king. So as king, you know his army was huge. Okay? On hearing this, David sent Joab out with the entire army of fighting men. 8. The Amorites came out and drew up in battle formation at the entrance to their city gate, while the Amorites of Zobah and Rabbah and the men of Tob and Makah were by themselves in the open country. 9. Joab saw that there were battle lines in front of him and behind him, so he selected some of the best troops in Israel and deployed them against the Arameans. 10. Is that where I'm supposed to stop, Father? Yes. He put the rest of the men under the command of Abishai, his brother, and deployed them against the Ammonites. 11 and 12. This is the 11 and 12 is orange for your faith. And he said, "If the Syrians be too strong for me, then thou shalt help me. But if the children of Ammon be too strong for thee, then I will come and help thee." 12. Very wise leader indeed. 12. Be of good courage, and let us play the men for our people and for the cities of our God, and the Lord do that which seemeth him good. Okay, this is his faith. This is his faith. Let me read that again. Be of good courage, because they are what? They have a troop in front of them. They have a troop behind them. So he situated his men where he would have the greatest advantage. And this is what he said to his men. Be of good courage, and let us play the men for our people and for the city of our God, and the Lord do that which seemeth good unto him. Okay, let's read here 11 and 12. Whenever you're in a situation, God will always back you up. You can depend on God. You can't depend on man. You can always 100% depend on God. You can never put any trust in man. Never. All right, so let's read 11 and 12 from here. Joab said, if the Arameans are too strong for me, then you are to come to my rescue. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come to your rescue. 12. Be strong and let us fight bravely for our people and the city of our God. The Lord will do what is good in his sight. And he always does. He always does. It doesn't make no difference what the situation looks like where you are or what it may appear to look like. What's happening in your situation, God will always make it good unto thee if you trust in him wholeheartedly. Okay, you must always put your trust in God. He will never fail thee. And in the same way, he did not fail Joab, and you will see that in a minute. Okay, so we're going to read 13 to 19, and that is all history. Okay, and Joab drew nigh, that means to come close, and the people that were with him, and unto the battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. So he came closer to them, and what did they do? They fled from him. All right, 14. And when the children of Ammon saw that the Syrians were fled, and then fled they also before Abishai, and entered into the city. So Joab returned from the children of Ammon, and came to Jerusalem. 15. And when the Syrians saw that they were smitten before Israel, they gathered themselves together. 16. And Hadarezer sent and brought out the Syrians that were beyond the river, and they came to Hilam, and Shobath, the captain of the host of Hadarezer, went before them. 17. And when it was told David, he gathered all Israel together and passed over Jordan and came to Hilam. And the Syrians set themselves in array against David and fought with him. 18. And the Syrians fled before Israel, and David slew the men of 700 chariots of Syrians and 40,000 horsemen, and smote Shobath, the captain of their host, who died there. 19. And when all the kings that were servants to Hadarezer saw that they were smitten before Israel, they made peace with Israel and served them. So the Syrians feared to help the children of Ammon anymore. Watch who you try to help out. Always be careful who you're trying to help, because the one you're trying to help may be the evil one. So always be mindful of who you're helping. Make sure that you are helping that person who is a good individual. Okay? Because if you help the evil one, you will get your butt kicked in the same way that this situation turned out to be. Okay, let's read it from 13 and 19. Then Joab and the troops with him advanced to fight the Arameans, and they fled before him. That means they ran away from him. Okay, 14. When the Ammonites saw that the Arabians were fleeing, they fled before Abishai and went inside the city. So Joab returned from fighting the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem. Father, I'm not skipping anything, am I? No, I'm not. All right, 15. After the Arameans saw that they had been routed by Israel, they regrouped. Hadarezer had Arameans brought from beyond the river. They went to Hilam with Shobath, the commander of Hadarezer army, leading them. 17. When David was told of this, he gathered all Israel, crossed the Jordan, and went to Hilam. The Arameans formed their battle line to meet David and fought against him. 18. But they fled before Israel, and David killed 700 of their charioteers and 40,000 of their foot soldiers. He also struck down Shabath, the commander of their army, and he died there. 19. When all the kings were vassals of Hadassah saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they made peace with the Israelites and became subject to them. So the Arameans were afraid to help the Ammonites anymore. So you must be careful who you stick your neck out for, because you sometimes stick your neck out for the wrong individuals. Who are the wrong individuals? Those that are wicked, of course. You don't want to be a helper of the wicked. You want to be a helper of the good. Okay? Because when you help the wicked, you get cursed. When you help the good, you are blessed by it. Mind who you extend your hand to, because you always want to extend that hand to those that belong to God and those that are good in the sight of God. You never want to extend your hand out to those that are wicked and evil, because you will be cursed by it instead of being blessed by it. Thank you very much for joining us here at Spiritual Water. My name is Brenda Guerrero, and as always, may the peace of God be upon thee, may the protection of God surround you, and may the will of God, whatever that is for your life, come from thee. Until the next time, please enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you very much for listening.